Hey folks, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the new SAT adversity score and why it's really old news. But before I get started, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time tuning in, and if you appreciate the content, go ahead and like this video. Alright, so I'm talking about the SAT's adversity score and kind of why it's no big deal. Back in May, the College Board, the company behind the SAT, introduced what they're calling, colloquially, the adversity score. And basically, it's a number that test takers will get that will accompany the scores they send to colleges. And it's calculated on a scale from 0 to 100 using 31 factors. And those factors, I'll tell you, are broken down into kind of three categories: neighborhood environment, school environment, so high school environment, and then family environment. And within those different categories, so again, a student's going to get a score on a scale of 0 to 100, with 50 being the median. So if you get a score of 50, then you're facing, I guess, median adversity, if you want to call it that, whatever the mean adversity is. And so within neighborhood environment, the categories would be crime rate, poverty rate, housing values, and then vacancy rate. So how many houses in your neighborhood are empty? And I think this would all be based on zip code. So they would kind of triangulate in based on your state, your city, your zip code, and then look at all these factors. So crime rate, poverty rate, housing values, and vacancy rate. For your family environment, it's median income if you're a single parent. So not that you only have one parent taking care of you, but has one of your parents passed away, or do you not have that person? Like, do you know if they're living or dead? So if you check, is this person living, and it's a no, then that kind of indicates that you're a single parent. And then this score would also factor in education level and whether English is a first language. And then you have high school environment, and that is curricular rigor, how many students are on free and reduced lunch, so percentage of students who are on free and reduced lunch, and then how many AP classes are available at your school. But really, it actually measures how many AP tests are taken, which is indicative of how many AP classes are offered at your school. So if 16 different AP tests were taken at your school, according to the SAT's data, then that means that at least 16 AP classes were most likely offered, which is not always the case, because you have some students who can take AP class or take AP tests without necessarily having taken the class. They just self-study the material. But anyhow, so that's not the main topic of the video. The main topic is why this adversity score really isn't new, and why I feel like we really shouldn't be worried about it in that sense. But before I get there, I'll tell you why these factors really matter. For upper middle class families, so folks who most likely have an education, most likely own a house, live in a decent neighborhood, those folks are 6 times as likely to graduate from college, 9 times as likely to graduate from undergrad and then get a post-secondary graduate degree or professional training. And then it says students of color specifically, especially ones from low-income neighborhoods, are more likely to have fewer college prep resources in their high school. And it also says that, based on this type of data that we're accruing here, that students who come from schools with large populations of students of color and low-income students have fewer college prep resources. They have fewer AP classes. They have more kids on free or reduced lunch, which means more of the tax money that funds school is going to pay for food as opposed to paying for books and college prep and AP classes and IB curriculum and the teachers it takes to have a small class ratio. So that's why these factors matters in the grand scheme of things. Because someone who has the ability to seek out SAT tutoring, ACT tutoring, take 16 AP classes, they have a full sports programs. Those folks have more resources that provide them with a better opportunity to really get into these top colleges. And so to kind of balance it out and I guess calculate for these sort of disadvantages that some students face, we have things like the adversity score. So don't get me wrong, I think the adversity score is something that should be in college admissions. Just because in our public education system today, the scales aren't balanced. Not every school gets the same amount of funding, even though they should. And it's often due to socioeconomic factors that are largely outside of the hands of the students who they affect. So, that being said, I've been reading applications for a school here on the West Coast for 3 years. And while the SAT is just now introducing this adversity score formally, our admissions office has at least, we do holistic review process, has been using adversity factors as a part of our admissions process and as a part of our evaluation of applicants for all of those years and previous to that. So I know for a fact that for at least 3 years, we've already been using adversity factors to determine whether a student gets in or not. And just I have the look kind of thing in front of me. We've always looked at how many AP tests a school offers, because that tells us what kind of resources the school has. So if a student only has 2 AP classes on their transcript, is it because they only wanted to take 2 AP classes, or is it because their school only offers 2 AP classes? So that kind of thing is important to really put their whole academic career into context. And so if you have a school with a low crime rate, that indicates that it tends to be a better school with more resources. So we take that into account. We've always taken that into account. We've always taken into account parents' education, because for a number of reasons, if you have 2 college graduate parents, 2 master's degree having parents, 2 doctors as parents, then not only do they understand the college application process and can then help their kids navigate the college admissions process starting from 9th grade as they should, but then they most likely have the monetary resources to get their kids the help they need to be successful in the college application process, whether that means private tutors, multiple opportunities taking the SAT tests, sending them to private schools that have a full IB curriculum. So that's why that's always mattered. And then not only parents' education, but then the income status. Is this family low income? Because again, that all represents in the grand scheme of things. When you fine tune the data and you look at what this really means in a bigger context, students from low income families live in low income communities that have fewer resources. It kind of keeps going back to that. If we really want to put kids on equal footing and say, can this student succeed at the college level despite the adversity they faced in their life? And if the answer to that is yes, then I think they deserve a spot at X university as much as the kid who has taken 10 AP classes and lives and goes to school in one of the most highly influential in the nation. So I'm just trying to put all that in context. But all in all, the SAT's new adversity score isn't new. It's old news. We've been using, any school that uses the holistic review process has always taken into context adversity factors, whether that's through the personal statement, diversity statements, looking at socioeconomic indicators. It's always mattered, and I hope it continues to matter in the future as much as GPA and test scores. If you're meeting those minimum benchmarks, if you have the minimum GPA, if you have the minimum SAT, especially at elite schools where everyone's got a 4.0 and at least a 1500, I think adversity starts to be where it counts. And so schools have done this and they will continue to do this. So just put your best foot forward and you should be okay in the college admissions process. All right, that's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and then I will see you next time. Bye.